Hello, everybody. Welcome to another 2022 baseball preview episode. I, as always, am Darrin Michael, and with me, the man who actually we haven't been on for a few weeks, and that is because he actually got sick after watching my colonoscopy video. So, Mr. Phil Calise, I'm so sorry about that. How you feeling now, buddy?
That was painful to watch, I have to say. That's how close we've become.
You know, I got
to
admit though, man, I was a little taken back that you wanted to watch it. I'm concerned. I think that there might be
good partners
mentally wrong with you. I mean, we're very close, but that might have been crossing a line, don't you think?
We analyze things. That's what we do. You can never be too close as partners.
Listen, as long as you're feeling better, that's what's important.
Yes, sir. I'm happy. It's been a while. I've missed our what used to be weekly, which has become a couple of times a month, and we'll get back cranking at it. It's a little lull in the sports season, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts on my end. So happy to be back, though. Happy to be on here, and an exciting little extra juice when we're doing the baseball preview, because while in this country football rules the roost in terms of popularity between us.
Yep.
We're baseball guys at heart, evidenced by our great interviews with a couple of former big leaguers and some more down the road. Tease a little there for our group of listeners, our intimate group of hundreds of listeners. But we're baseball guys, so it's always fun to do a baseball preview.
Yeah,
so, excited.
Yeah, listen, I am too, and talking about future guests, I actually have a list of about 10 former baseball players that are potentially interested in coming on the show. The last one that I got was a guy who was a three-time All-Star and a 1979 AL Reliever of the Year. Also wrote a book. Looks pretty crazy. And I wanted to let you know what I got. I don't know if you can see this.
Go right in front of your face. Yeah, it's good. You're there.
Fastball John by my man John D'Acquisto. I just got it as one of my birthday presents. I'm excited. Look at how thick this sucker is.
That's a big book.
Now he didn't tell me. I texted him yesterday. He didn't tell me it was 520 pages. So
I feel like after talking to him for an hour, he has a lot to say, a lot of great insight.
Could you?
I could see him having a thick book, a nice book to read.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt, and I really look forward. It's next on my list of books to read. I have one that I'm about halfway through right now, but it's going to be great. It sounds like, just from talking to him. I mean, I think that we literally could have spent the entire afternoon with him and just gotten story after story. And maybe after reading this book, we'll see if we can get him back on to talk about some things, because it's gonna be so exciting. So anyway, I got that. That was by far and away my best birthday present. If for those of you who don't know, I was lucky enough to turn 49 after Phil turned 40. So there's quite a big age difference, although Phil is much more mature than I.
Way more mature.
And I have much more hair. So you appear to be so much older. But
God gives us all different blessings and different skills and talents.
So
you're blessed with a lot of hair.
Listen, because it's been a while, I got to share a couple stories with you.
I got to hear them.
Whether you like it or not, you're going to hear them. And the first one is going to be a colonoscopy story. And I already apparently know very intimate details about that. So, but share with the viewers. So when I'm there, right, I'm getting prepared to go in, and the nurse says to me, I actually asked her, I said, when I'm done, when do I leave? And she goes, our only requirement for you to leave is that you have to pass gas. And I said, okay, if you obviously don't know me, but that's not going to be a problem. So I went back and, they put me on my side, and they're getting ready to inject me with the thing to put me to sleep. And I said, you know what? I'm staying awake for this. I am going to fight this. You are not going to put me to sleep. And she's like, all right, well, we'll see you in a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm out. And I just was out like that. I mean, it was instantaneous. I knew it. I felt myself just stopping, and I'm just like, that was it. Next thing I know, I'm waking up. I'm in the recovery room. There's a screen there, and the nurse is like, okay, time to get dressed. And I'm like, I'm so exhausted. Can't I just sleep here for a while? Like, no, you got to go. So I sit up,
and I farted a few times because that's what I had to do. And as
Just
I'm getting
doing your
dressed,
job.
she's on the other side of the curtain, right? And as I'm getting dressed, I said, hey, nurse, just wanted to let you know that I can leave because I passed gas. And what's her response to me? I know, I heard. So it was so freaking embarrassing. I'm like, not even thinking that she's right there, and she's like, yeah, I heard. So, you could have been like, yeah, that's great, whatever. But no, she had to let me know that she heard me honk my horn while I was behind
Awesome.
her. So
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty funny. On Monday, was it Monday? No, it was Monday. No, Tuesday. Last Tuesday, I got home from playing basketball. I was off. So last Monday, I woke up and I couldn't stand up straight. I couldn't walk. I was in so much pain, and I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do. Should I? I reached out to my doctor, who never called me back. And Trisha heard about somebody at work who went to a chiropractor for the same issue that I have. And so I ended up driving down to a chiropractor. I sat down with him and he said, okay, bad news is we don't take your insurance. And he said, good news is we can help you out. I said, okay, I'll talk to you later. And I left. So I found my own guy, right? And I started going, and I've been there 3 times. I literally went from not being able to walk last Monday to playing basketball last night. And I'm virtually pain-free, if you can even believe that. Just a few adjustments. I mean, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So anybody that has any kind of back issues and you've never been to a chiropractor, strongly suggested. Strongly suggested. It's been so far a life-changing experience, and hopefully it keeps going and this pain can go away for an extended period of time. So that's story number 2. And then last but not least, that I am Mr. Pilates, Mr. Club Pilates.
Yes, sir.
I posted my blog that I put onto the corporate website. Well, it turns out I heard that there's a club in Arizona and a club in Florida that both posted my story on their individual Facebook page. How do you like that?
So it's kind of disappointing that we haven't cranked out a few more podcasts.
I know. And it's funny because the one in Florida, actually a former girlfriend of mine from high school, she's like, oh yeah, this is the Pilates studio that I go to. And I saw that you were featured in it. I'm like, gotta love that.
That's amazing.
That. Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
You're becoming a mini celebrity.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. So enough about me. We got a lot of baseball to talk about. But before we get into our preview, you're pretty well versed in baseball, right?
You damn Skippy.
You know what time it is, don't you?
Oh no, it's baseball trivia time. Let's go.
It's time for a little baseball trivia. I'm going to make it easy. I'm even going to share my screen for you.
You're not going to make it easy. You're full of crap. That's what I know about you.
Okay. Let me tell you something. And I'll get to why I'm doing this afterward. But I'm going to say right now, the over under on the number that you get, I'm going to say 3.
So you're totally full of crap when you say it's easy. Got it. As I suspected.
This is really tough. But hey, listen, maybe you're going to know more than I do. So this is a list of all the teams that won their games yesterday. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the name of the winning pitcher, and I want you to tell me what team he played for.
Okay.
All right. Sure. We're gonna start off. We're gonna start off with an easy one. All right. Bryce Elder.
You can't be serious. Let's go with Rays.
He is on the Braves.
Cool. 0 for 1. Yep.
All right. How about Garrett Whitlock?
So at one point, I know he's not on that team anymore because the Angels aren't there. So let's go with beep, 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 boop, 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 boop. Let's go Guardians.
He is on the Red Sox.
Nice.
He is
Cool.
on the Red Sox. How about this one's a little bit easier. How about Raisel Iglesias?
Um,
A closer who's actually a good
Yeah.
player. Oh, you know what? I can't put him on there because
Isn't he a Red?
no, I can't put him on there because I forgot to put his team on.
He's an Angel. Let's go. Give me that one.
Am I giving? Did you know he was on the Angels? You did.
I thought it was the Reds or Angels. I couldn't remember.
All right, then you know what? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you just to be nice. Just to be nice. All right.
Appreciate it.
How about Alex Cobb?
Giants.
Alex Cobb is on the Giants. That's two. All right. How about this one? Jhoulys Chasen.
He used to be on the Rockies, so I'll stick with it.
And he currently is on the Rockies.
Well, nice.
You're better at this than I thought you were. All right, I'm going to give you let's see, what do we got now? 3. So you only need one more to take the over. So let's try to make this interesting. How about Trevor Stephen?
Rays.
You ever heard of him?
Nope.
I've never heard of him either. So Guardians.
Nice. I never heard of the Guardians either, for that matter.
I know, right? How about Daniel Hudson? He's a pretty well-known player.
At one point, I know the team he was on, but that team does not appear to be on this list. So I'm going to go with, I'll go Cardinals.
He is on the Dodgers.
Really? Yeah.
On the Dodgers. Yep, he's on the Dodgers. All right. I'm going to basically give it to you because I don't think you're going to know any of the other guys.
No. Go.
All right. How about you'll know this guy. How about Hobie Milner? Hobie Milner.
Cardinals.
He is on the Brewers.
Yeah, I mean, these names are crazy.
Oh, I know. How about Drew Smiley? He's a guy you've heard of.
Yeah. Rays.
He is on the Cubs. That's right.
Nice. Cool.
All right. How about no, that one you're gonna know. How about Clay Holmes?
Yankees.
Clay Holmes is on the Yankees, and you have done it, my friend.
Nice.
Would you like to keep going?
Yeah, keep it going.
All right. How about Jordan Hicks?
Cardinals.
That's an easy one. How about now? This one. If you don't know this one, then you're not a fan. How about Tyler McGill?
Mets. He's 10 and a third scoreless innings thus far this year.
He's pitched 10 innings already. Wow.
10 and a third. He started opening day with DeGrom hurt.
Well, how about Reynaldo Lopez?
I feel like that's the White Sox.
It is the White Sox. Okay, now you only have 2 left. So you either get both of them or you get neither of them. All right. So you got the Rays and the Astros. All right. So I am going to give you, let's see who I want to give you. Astros and Rays. I'm going to give you Hector Neris.
Interesting. I'm going to go, that's the Astros.
And you are correct once again, my friend. I'll tell you, you absolutely destroyed this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 9, and the over-under was 3. Like your baseball mind, oh, wow. Unbelievable.
Let's just say I'm not the Baltimore Orioles of trivia.
Unbelievable, man. That deserves a round of applause right there. You are more than just a pretty face.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's
Thanks
impressive.
to everybody. And have a sip of water.
So listen, we got a lot of good baseball stuff to talk about. We kind of talked about it ahead of time. You're going to talk about the NL. I'm going to talk about the AL, and then we'll each make our picks for World Series, MVP, and Cy Young.
What are we doing? MVP, Cy Young, and what?
And World Series.
Oh, World Series, got it. I did all the playoff picks. I didn't know. I forgot where we landed on that. No problem.
Yeah, I didn't do the NL playoff picks, but I can look at that really quick. So why don't you start off? We'll go back and forth. Why don't you start off giving us an NL East preview?
Okay. So the NL East, near and dear to my heart. I know these teams better than I know any other teams based on the sweatshirt that you see. I am a Mets fan. Yes, 40 years, Met fan. 1 World Series in my lifetime. Painful. 3 World Series appearances, only 1 victory. So, I mean, the theme of the NL East is this is the division that has produced the last 2 World Series champions. Yes, that's right. Not 1, but 2. The Washington Nationals that seemingly came out of nowhere to win one.
Yep.
Not completely out of nowhere, but they didn't have a dominant regular season. They had the capability to win, but they didn't have this lofty, great regular season. And then back that up with the Braves, who actually didn't lead their division for more than half the season, and then came on like gangbusters after losing Acuna for the year, and then get red hot in the playoffs. And I do like the Braves a lot, but I didn't think the rotation would be able to get through a postseason, and they wind up winning it all. So you're dealing with back-to-back World Series champions, different ones from the same division. And I think this division's interesting because I tend to believe that when teams overachieve a little bit, I think they tend to regress a little the following year. I think baseball has shown that. I think there's a couple of teams I target as being potential regressors this year. I think the division's pretty good, though, overall. I think the Nats, let's just start at the bottom. I think the Nats are blowing it up a little bit. And I think they're going to be pretty bad. So I think you could peg the Nats in as a, just kind of a bad team. Now, a pedigree of winning, the managers actually was the manager for the World Series, Davey Martinez. Yep. So, I mean, there's a pedigree there. They might have the best player in baseball on the team in Juan Soto, but they're not really trying to compete this year. So I do think they're the worst team in the division. I think the Marlins have done some things that are going to make them scrappy. I think they got a decent rotation. I think they're going to be a scrappy team. I think the Marlins are going to be the team that determines who wins the division. Who struggles with the Marlins is going to probably cost them the division, because I think everyone's going to beat up on the Nats. And I think the top 3 teams are clearly the top 3 teams. So I think whoever handles the Marlins are going to be the team that wins the division. I think the Marlins will be 4th. I think the Phillies, they play in a bandbox. I hate the Phillies, by the way. I absolutely hate them. So shout out to our 12 Philadelphia YouTubers, but I hate the Phillies. The Phillies play in a bandbox and built their team to mash home runs. Castellanos is a free agent. He's going to hit. Schwarber is going to make that thing look like an even bigger bandbox when he hits them. Harper's a monster. Realmuto. They can hit. Wheeler anchors their rotation. They just don't have, to me, a deep enough rotation. Their bullpen sucks every year. It's always garbage. They never really address it. So I think the Phillies are going to be one of those teams that they're going to slug you out at times, and then they're just going to lose 12, 10 games, and they're going to lose these crazy games. They play crappy defense. They got no defense there. They're just one of those like fun offensive teams that don't do a lot else. And then I think this is ultimately a 2-horse race between the typical dominant Braves, who usually own this division, and the Mets, who I think, although I've been on and off them, I do think they put a good team together this year. And obviously almost $275 million worth of payroll is going to probably leave you being pretty good, I'd hope. I think this division comes down to the following. If DeGrom comes back in June healthy, the Mets are going to probably end up pushing to not win it easy, because I think it's a good division. But if DeGrom gives them 20 starts with Bassett and Scherzer, and this kid McGill, who looks like the real deal as a young kid, and they still have Walker and Carrasco, they're deep. Their offense is good enough. Their rotation looks to be really tough, especially at the top. Their top 3 are really good. And I just think the Braves are going to lose a little something. Like, to me, it goes like this. When you take your heart and soul off the team in Freddie Freeman, and we could squabble about he wanted more and they were being a little cheap with him or whatever, it is hard for me to envision them not taking at least a step back. Losing Freeman, Acuna's not yet ready to play. He's not there yet. And Olsen, I mean, who's the first baseman? Olsen, right?
Yeah, Matt Olsen.
And he's great. I like him. He's not Freddie Freeman. I don't know how that all fits in year one. I also think they had some guys play over their heads, particularly in the playoffs. Soler probably carried them at times. He's not on the team anymore. I like the Braves. I think they're an 87, 89 type of win team, but I do think the Mets are mid-90s. And I think when it's all said and done, they do win the division. So I'll go with the Mets on top. I do think the Braves get in as a wild card, though.
Okay. Fair enough.
You want to go AL East?
Yeah. Let me go AL East. When I look at this division, I look at it like to me, it's the strongest division in baseball. I look at the Blue Jays and I look what they did last year and I look what they've added, and they're just a strong team. I mean, they literally have 6 guys with 30 home run potential or more. I mean, this is a team that's going to hit the ball. They also, I mean, granted, they lost Robbie Ray, and he was just an absolute beast last year, just came out of nowhere and obviously won the Cy Young. But they picked up Gausman and Berrios, who are both really great players. They're great players. So, their hitting is absurd. Their pitching is above average. And Jordan Romano is a great closer. So I see this team as the clear favorites to win the division. Now, when you look at the rest of this division, we'll go to the bottom now. All right. And that is my Orioles. And it's mind-boggling to me how a team can have the number 1 minor league system and the number 32 major league team. My question is, when are they ever going to bring these guys up? And are they going to pan out? I don't know what's going on. The team, the GM's been there for 4 years, and the team hasn't improved. I mean, they lost 110 games last year, which is, they're going the wrong direction. So, and the rookies that they did have last year didn't play well. So, they've got these studs. Are they going to come in? Are they going to play well? Can they develop players? I don't know. I mean, honestly, who cares if you've got the number 1 minor league system if your major league team is just god awful? So the nice thing about the Orioles, the only thing that I can say is that as soon as the first pitch was thrown this year, they were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So don't have to worry about them making the playoffs. Let's move on to the other 3 teams. You got the Rays, who won 100 games last year. And honestly, I still have no idea how they do it. They're pretty much really good year in, year out. And they don't have superstars. They don't have a huge payroll. They got young guys. Somehow, this is the team that you want to model yourself after, right? They don't have a whole lot of money there, but what they do is they are incredible, like nobody else at developing their players. And then once they get really great and they want the big money, they ship them off. And then they got more great players to come and replace them. It's unbelievable. It's like college basketball, where you have Kentucky, where all 5 of the guys go pro and your next 5 guys come in and they're ranked number 1 preseason. It's like, how does this even happen? So the Rays, I've stopped asking myself how they do it. My expectation every year is that they're going to be a great team. And I think this is no different. They're going to be a great team. Then you look at a team like the Yankees, they're going to hit home runs. The question is, can Stanton and Judge stay healthy all year? Judge was healthy last year and he had a great year. Stanton, guy hasn't been healthy since they traded for him. And then who do they have to pitch after Garrett Cole? And if he doesn't have a great year,
a lot of question marks after him.
What do they do? There's a lot of question marks. The Yankees can be a great team if things fall their way. Then you've got the Red Sox, right? Once again, solid top to bottom lineup. Their lineup is very, very strong. They won 92 games last year. But again, their pitching is going to be questionable. Can Chris Sale come back? He came back at the end of last year and pitched lights out. Can he come back and beat the Chris Sale of old? If he can, he anchors a decent pitching squad that I think can take this team far. So you're potentially looking at 4 great teams. Or as somebody said the other day, their prediction was that all 4 of the teams in the AL East are going to make the playoffs. And rumor has it there's actually a 5th team, which they don't quite fit in with the rest of them. But, the Orioles are going to be horrible this year. So that's the AL East.
Well, honestly, the question to me is the Orioles lost 110 games last year. It could be worse this year.
I mean, they're bad. They're really
they're bad, but their division is so good that
they're just going to get.
If anyone struggles for even a few series with the Orioles, it could be the difference in that team not winning the division. If the Orioles just get hot for a week and beat the Jays 5 out of 7 or something.
Absolutely. This is how I look at this, okay? Because I personally think the rest of the American League is fairly weak. I'm looking at these top 4 teams, and I think that they're going to, when they go head to head, they're basically going to go 50-50. They're going to win half. They're going to lose half against each other, right? That's what I'm thinking. And then I just think they're going to beat the crap out of everybody else, including the Orioles. I mean, the Orioles, they're all licking their lips. They're like, oh my God, we get to play the Orioles, 9, 12 times a year, whatever it may be. I mean, those are guaranteed wins right there, maybe even more. So that's where the AL East is going. So we'll see what happens there. Why don't you take us to the NL?
So you have the Jays though winning the division. Is that where
I did pick the Jays to win the division. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go to the NL Central. The NL Central. I mean, you're coming off of the Brewers and Cardinals making the playoffs, and it seems like the NL Central is a little bit of a microcosm of baseball's problem. In that, when you look at like the Pirates, they really don't seem like they're competing to try to win. They haven't been in a long time.
Yep.
Now the Reds had some decisions to make with some key free agents. It doesn't look like they didn't really bring anyone back. Their payroll shrunk considerably. They traded a few guys, but they really didn't sign anybody. They let Castellanos go. A few other guys go, and they were a scrappy team last year. The Reds won 83 games. I think came out a little bit out of nowhere with a good rotation and some scrappy hitting in a pretty bandbox type stadium, and they had a good year. And it looks like they're kind of willing to just let it all go by.
Yep.
In not the most brutal of a division, but you know what? The Brewers have a really good top end of their rotation. The Cardinals are just one of those teams that, like Tampa, the organization just cranks out player development off the charts with the Cardinals. They turn everybody into, they get the max out of everybody they have.
Yeah.
Middle market payroll, get the max out of everybody. It's obviously a 2-team race in the Central. The Pirates will go on and lose their 100+ games like they do every year. I don't like the Cubs this year. The Cubs are a team that I know they signed like Marcus Stroman, but the Cubs literally, and maybe they have a good farm system. I'm really not locked into their farm system. I mean, the Cubs let everybody go off the championship team from years ago, right? Rizzo's on the Yankees. They had traded him to the Yankees. He stayed there. Baez traded to the Mets. Now he's a Tiger. They didn't really keep anybody. That whole group is all gone. What's his face? The third baseman, right fielder, Chris Bryant traded, and now he's on the Rockies. I mean, they blew up that core of the team. Schwarber's gone. They're a 95 to 100 loss team to me as well. But the Reds are kind of in that same boat. So, I mean, I could see the Brewers and Cardinals having inflated win totals because they're going to get to beat up on really bad teams a lot. So if you want to look at the worst division, when you have 3 bad teams in a 5-team division, that's got to be right up there with the worst divisions in baseball. So I'll take the Brewers because I just like their rotation a little more. But I could see the Brewers winning close to 97 type games. And I could see the Cardinals winning 92, 93 and being the top wild card team potentially. So, I mean, I see both of these teams making the playoffs. I just give the Brewers the slight edge because of the rotation.
Yeah. No, it's a good call. It's a good call. Let me move on to the AL Central. This is another. I think the Central is just weak baseball. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. I look at this division. I look at the White Sox. Strong lineup. I think they've got some pretty good pitching. They won 93 games last year. The interesting thing that I saw, they have Craig Kimbrell on their team. I don't know if anybody even realized that he's still playing. But the interesting thing about him is that he actually career-wise has more saves than hits allowed. And I thought about that, and I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty incredible.
We're just going to have an editor's moment. Craig Kimbrell was traded to the Dodgers right before the season started.
Oh, was he? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, quick editor's moment.
My fault. But
sorry.
Okay. Well, I you know what? I knew that. I don't know why I had it written down here, but anyway, when you get to the Dodgers, you can mention that stat because I think that's a pretty cool stat. Thanks for stepping in.
Absolutely.
But even without him, I mean, the White Sox just have a good team. The White Sox.
Yeah.
Indians, I think that they're average, but anytime you've got a guy like Jose Ramirez, you're going to have some good things. I mean, he's a top 10 baseball player. He might even be a top 5 guy when you look at this. But I think with the Indians, the question comes down to, can Justin Bieber stay healthy? I know that he's singing, Brooke went to his concert a couple of weeks ago. She said it was really great, but
he does a lot.
Can he be healthy? We know his stuff is nasty. Can he be healthy? So that's what it comes
Not too late to say I'm sorry.
That is true, baby. So let's move on. The Tigers, the Tigers are virtually starting over. They've got a bunch of young players, and they've got a guy named Cabrera, who's a Hall of Famer that can barely move. I think he's even slower than Albert Pujols, but he's kicking around. And the question is, can these young guys put it together? And my answer
They did sign Baez. At least they spent a little money, I guess.
They did. They spent a little money, which is good. Are they going to be able to put it together enough? No, I don't think they're going to. Not yet. I think they're building a solid foundation for the future. But I still think Cabrera is taking up a spot, and he needs to just retire. Let's move on to the Royals. The Royals, I mean, Salvador Perez hit 48 home runs last year. I mean, that is absurd. I think that's the record for a catcher for home runs in a season. Can he repeat that? Well, he can't. Come on. There's no way he's going to repeat 48 home runs. But the fun thing is that Bobby Witt Jr., who's basically the number 1 prospect in baseball, made the team. And he's there every day starting shortstop or third baseman. He's going to be fun to watch. He's a 5-tool guy. And, I think that he's going to be the rookie of the year. I think he's the real deal. And once he starts really playing, gets acclimated to Major League Baseball, I think this guy is going to be a superstar for years to come. And then last but not least, the Twins. What do we know about the Twins? They can hit home runs. Great. What else can they do? That is all they can do. So needless to say, they are not going to be having a good season this year, and they are nowhere close to making the playoffs. So I got the White Sox in the Central, and I think they're basically going to run away with it, like I think they did last year too.
I think that's fair. I don't think it's a particularly good division. I agree with you.
No,
so now let's go to the NL West, where we got some behemoths, right? We watched one of the most incredible races last year between the seemingly coming out of nowhere Giants. Not that they weren't a good team, but they put up 107 wins and actually made the Dodgers go play in the wild card game. The Giants just had an absurd year. The Dodgers right behind them at 106 wins, but expectedly had an absurd year. The Padres the Padres were probably the most disappointing team. Now they suffered a bunch of injuries, Tatis obviously being one of them, and he's hurt again. But that was a team they spent a boatload of money and didn't go 500.
Terrible.
The Rockies the Rockies don't know what they are. I mean, they didn't want to pay Trevor Story, but they paid Chris Bryant. I mean, I don't know what the Rockies are. I think they're like caught in that world of, again, the haves and have-nots payroll-wise, where they just don't have a lot of money to spend. They have to make incredibly difficult decisions on all their players, and it's not easy. The Diamondbacks tried to fight the Orioles for supremacy of worst team in baseball last year, and they managed to tie each other because nobody could even win that battle. And I'm going to just guess. Again, I think the Diamondbacks might be slightly better than the Orioles, but they ran into a brutal division themselves where clearly if 2 teams are going to win almost 110 games, someone's going to lose 110 games. So the Diamondbacks happen to fall on that sword for the NL West. I don't know if they're that bad. I'm sure they are pretty bad. I mean, let's face it, nobody watches the Arizona Diamondbacks. When you go there, you take a dip in their pool and you hope to just get a break from the 110-degree heat in Arizona. So nobody's there to watch them actually play. This is like the Braves. I thought were going to regress a little. I guess it was a bad term for the Braves. The Braves only won 88 games last year. I actually think the Braves might win more games this year. They had a weird year. I just don't see the Braves as really like challenging for the World Series this year per se. The Giants are the team that they're going to regress. There's no way. Everybody had career years. They're a good team, the Giants. They're not a great team to me. They're just not. I could see the Dodgers running away with this division in a different type of way. I mean, it's hard to even fathom winning 106 games, keeping the whole team together, and adding Freddie Freeman. That's hard to fathom. You can't plug them for like more wins because they won 106 games. It's still baseball. You're going to lose games. So I'm not even going to say they're going to have more wins than 106 because that's a crazy win total. I'm just going to say the Giants are going to lose 15 or more games than they did last year, at least. And I don't think the Giants make the playoffs this year. And that's why I'm going to make one shocking call. And I'm going to say the Padres figure it out and they catch the Giants and pass them for the division, for the wild card. And the Dodgers run away for the division. I just think the Giants are going to be one of those crazy drop-offs. So I'm going to go with the Dodgers and Padres making the playoffs. So for me, my 6 teams that make the playoffs, I've kind of spread it. I know you're going all in the AL East, but I've spread it to a division winner and a wild card per division.
Is there a 7th team this year?
There's 6. There's 6. It's I was looking at it again last night. So it's 12 teams make the playoffs. It's 6 and 6.
Oh, okay.
So you got 3 division winners and you got 3 wild cards. So you could have 4 teams from one division, right? So 3. So, and that makes sense in that division. I agree with you, but I have 2-2-2 in this year.
Okay.
Turn it over to you, Darren.
Sounds good. Sounds good to finish up with the NL West. I think this is one that the Astros are going to take again. You know, you look at their team. They've actually won the division 4 out of the last 5 years. They're trying to become the new version of the Braves. And I see no reason why they don't make it 5 out of the last 6 years. There's no reason for it. Their hitting is strong. Their pitching is strong. The biggest storyline that I'm going to be watching this year is Justin Verlander, who's missed 2 seasons. What's this guy going to do? He's not a young pup, but, you know, he's had this rejuvenation of his career in Houston. Is he going to be able to do that coming off of 2 missed seasons? Is he going to be able to come back? Now, you know, if anybody can do it, I'm going to say that Justin Verlander can. I just think he's just an animal. And I have a feeling that he is going to be really good. And I think by probably mid-season at the latest, he's going to be back to his normal self. And he's going to crush it. I think he's going to end up being unhittable the second half of the year. You know, he's certainly
had enough rest.
Yeah, he's got a fresh arm, right? So we'll see what happens there. You look at other teams like the Angels, you know, they've got Ohtani, they've got Trout, they've got Rendon. You can't win games when you have only 3 guys. You need more players. Not only that, it'd be nice if Trout actually played a full season. I can't even remember the last time.
It's starting to get to that point where, somebody's going to have to start to question him staying healthy because Judge gets beat up for it, but Trout's been bad lately.
Every year. I mean, I can't remember the last time he played a full season. It's been a long time. Yeah. And he still is a great player, but the guy can't stay healthy. Now, can Ohtani repeat what he did last year? There's not a chance. There's absolutely no chance. And you know how I feel about him getting the MVP. I was not a fan of it, but anyway, let's move on to the A's.
I remember you being just absolutely beside yourself.
Not happy about that at all.
Just because the guy was like the best hitter in baseball for like 3 months and pitched well, you just couldn't handle it.
Look at the second half of his season. I'm sorry. We don't have to get into it now. We can debate this at another time. Let's move on to the A's. And all I can say about the A's is they traded away their entire team. Do they even have any good players on their team? They don't. But the fact of the matter is, why isn't Billy Beane in the Hall of Fame yet?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to knock the A's if they want to do this every so often because they've been so good.
Listen, they are good every year. And granted, listen, they're not expected to be very good this year. And I don't really expect them to be very good this year. But man, it's almost like the Rays. But the Rays continue to play at a high level. But the A's, they just get rid of everybody and they just start from scratch. But they also reload all the time. They've got these young players, and maybe this year they're not going to play great, but I'll tell you one thing, 2023, they're probably going to have a decent year. You know,
the A's, I'm going to coin a phrase, and this is all going to rhyme like I'm Dr. Seuss. The A's were the Rays before the Rays were the Rays.
You know what? That's an interesting phrase.
I'm just saying.
I like that.
Before there was the Rays, there was the Oakland A's doing it before them.
I like that. That's good. That's a good one. Look at the Rangers. The Rangers spent $500 million on their middle infield. Sorry, guys, it's not enough. You still don't have any pitching. So it's nice.
There's a sad story of an owner that goes, but I spent $500 million. I don't know why I made the Texas Ranger owner sound like kind of like he might be in the mafia in New York, but
I think
what's going on here? Like, they're not good. They're not going to be good.
The guy's trying to be like the Orioles. You know, you have no pitching whatsoever, so they're not going anywhere. And then you got the Mariners. Listen, the Mariners out of nowhere won 90 games last year. They've got a nice
young foundation
group of players, really nice young group of players. They've got the number 3 overall minor league player who made the team. He's an outfielder. I think his name is Rodriguez. He looks to be really good, and they made a great signing of Robbie Ray. Granted, he just had the one good year, but let's not forget he was always a decent player when he was with the Diamondbacks.
He always had a lot of Ks, was a little wild, but he was always good. Yeah.
Guy just put
Can I make a prediction? Can I make a prediction while you're on Seattle?
Yeah.
My prediction is there's only one really pretty good. I don't want to say he's great. He's not great, but one really good free agent has not signed yet through all the chaos of, the lockout. And, there was that rush before the lockout and a bunch of guys signed big deals. And then obviously it was a hurry up, wait, and then a bunch of deals were signed. One good player in his prime has not signed. His agent is Scott Boras, so that fits because Scott Boras tends to do this when he doesn't think he's getting as much money for guys as he thought. He turned down a 5-year, $110 million extension offer during his free agency year or his year going into free agency. And that gentleman is named Michael Conforto, formerly of the New York Mets. Little known fact, perhaps, still in his prime, lefty bat, good hitter from Oregon State, went to Oregon State and is from that area. I could see the Mariners signing him on a 1-year deal if he can't get the long-term deal and adding another big bat to that team mid-season this year or at some point this season.
Have you heard anything about this guy? I mean, the season's already started and he's...
Well, I mean, I think he turned down a 5-year, $110 million extension with the Mets. And so when you turn down that kind of money, you don't want to sign a 1-year prove-it deal after that. The Mets said bye-bye. They gave his number away even already. So the Mets are not signing him. And he's from that area. So it makes sense. The Mariners are a good young team. He would fit in the middle of their order as a prime lefty bat. And I could just see them signing him on like a 1-year deal. And if he's going to take a 1-year prove it deal, go back home, it makes some sense.
Interesting.
So that's my prediction. He ends up a Mariner pretty soon in the next month.
Well, we'll see. I hope so. So let's get into playoffs. Tell me again who your playoff teams are for the NL.
So the NL, I went with, I'm going to go the 1 seed overall is the Dodgers. The 2 seed overall, I'm going to go with the Mets. The 3 seed, the Brewers. Those are my 3 division winners. And then 4, 5, 6, I'm going Pods, Cards, Braves.
Okay. And I'm actually similar to you. I like the Dodgers obviously to win. I like the Mets to win the division too. I like the Cardinals to win their division. And then as far as the playoffs are concerned, I'm going Padres, I'm going Braves, and I'm going the Phillies this year. So I'm going a little bit different. But I agree with what you were saying.
The Brewers making the playoffs at all?
I don't know.
Brewers?
I think the Phillies are going to sneak into them. I think you got to remember the Phillies do have 2 stud pitchers. I mean, they've got Wheeler and Nola. So if those guys can put together a good season with their hitting, they can be a dangerous team. So,
all right, I'll give you my AL. AL, and then you sum up your. I mean, we know your AL, but you sum it up. My AL, I'm actually going with, and I didn't obviously do the AL. I think the AL is going to be a little weird this year.
Yeah.
Not weird, but I for whatever reason, just because of the division, I think the Astros end up being the 1 seed, and I know that's kind of like. It's hard sometimes to square that because the Astros lost Correa, but I do think they end up being the 1 seed. I'm going to agree with you that the Blue Jays win the AL East, but I think it's really close. Like, I think it's going to be like maybe down to the last weekend. And I got the White Sox winning it, so those are my top 3. I have the Yankees 4, Tampa 5, and then I do have the Mariners in it. I think the Red Sox take a giant step back. Like, I thought that I was anti-Red Sox last year. I didn't think they had a good enough pitching staff. They ended up making the playoffs, and they actually won a couple rounds, and they did way more than I thought. I don't like the Red Sox rotation or bullpen. I don't think they make the playoffs. So I like the Mariners. I think that they won 92 games last year, and I think they got better. So I think they'll make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, they're a good team. They're a good team. And I actually have them as my seventh best team. I think they're going to have a good year. I do think the AL East is going to put 4 teams in the playoffs. I think the Jays are going to run away. I think the White Sox are going to run away. I think the Astros. I think those are the 3 clear division winners. And I think that's what kind of consistent expectations are. I think the Rays, the Yankees, and the Red Sox are the 3 wildcard teams. And like I said before, I think these teams are going to beat up on the Orioles. They're going to beat up on the rest of the league, and they're going to go 50-50 against each other. And that's going to be enough to get all 3 of those teams into the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts for the World Series?
So for the World Series, I'm gonna just, again, every single year you could pick the Dodgers to win it. Of course, I get it. They're the best team on paper. They've only won 1 ring. I mean, and so I do think they're getting into that dangerous territory. I know they're built for the long haul, but I do think they're getting into a dangerous territory where they better win more than 1 ring with this juggernaut of a organization and team. But I'm not going to pick the Dodgers, and I'll save it for a second. AL, I'm going to go with, and I do think the AL is a mad scramble when you get into the playoffs. There's no dominant rotation where you could say, well, if this team makes the playoffs, they're the team to beat because of their rotation. And at the end of the day, the playoffs usually get down to pitching. It's colder, hard throwers usually dominate. But I don't know who to love in terms of the rotations. I think the rotations are spread fairly equally. So I'm going to go with a little bit of a wrinkle coming out of the AL because I like the clutchness of this team, and I think it's a good offense. And I'm going to take a shot on the White Sox getting the World Series. I'm not like in love with this pick. I don't have like great conviction. I'm going to go with a little bit of a wrinkle. In the NL, here's how I get down to it. If I'm really looking at who could beat the Dodgers in a playoff series, I'm having a hard time finding anybody but the Mets, just because of the rotation. They could, with DeGrom and Scherzer and Bassett, match up with anybody. So if they finally live up to the regular season expectations that they've failed miserably trying, if they actually get in the playoffs, I do think they're the only capable team in the NL to win over the Dodgers. And so partly because I'm a Met fan and it's been 40 years, 36 years, partly because I don't want to pick the Dodgers because I've picked them a lot and it's boring. I'm going to go with the Mets and White Sox in the World Series.
Okay. All right. Interesting. And I'm going to take a completely different viewpoint that you are. I think those are 2 great teams. I think the White Sox and the Mets are both going to have stellar years. And honestly, I'm pulling for the Mets. I'm a big Buck Showalter fan. And I'd like to see him win because I think winning the World Series is the only thing left on his resume that he needs to get in the Hall of Fame. And I'd really like to see that happen because I like him. But I'm going to say that I think the Jays are just too strong. I think they are just
they're a popular pick. I've seen a lot of people taking them.
I think so too. And I hate to go with just what everybody is saying. I really, really think they're a good team. And I know that anything can happen in the playoffs. And we saw it last year with the Braves winning the whole thing. You just don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to have to say, I think they are the best team in baseball right now. I think they're even better than the Dodgers this year. But the surprise team, I think, out of the NL is a team that I think has solid hitting. They've got some superstar potential, and they've got some strong pitching. And I think they're going to win this one for Albert. I think the Cardinals are going to make their way to the World Series this year. Somehow the Cardinals have been a good team for a long time. They're another team that, I don't know how they put it together. I mean, they made the best move in the world. We're all scratching our heads when they trade Albert Pujols in his prime, but obviously he was half the player he was after he got traded. So they knew something. But they've had some great signings. Who do they have? Goldschmidt and Arenado on that team. So they got some great players.
And they're a great organization. So if you anytime you want to go with a wrinkle and throw the Cardinals into the World Series, you're always got a shot because they do it every 3 years. They put a team in the World Series when they don't expect it. So
I agree. So those are my calls. I think it's
you went with a bird World Series.
I did.
You couldn't put the Orioles in, so you went with 2 other birds, much better birds.
I did. Yes.
Who do you got winning it?
I'm gonna go with the Jays. I'm gonna go with the Jays. You know what? I'm still angry that Vlad Guerrero did not win the MVP last year. I thought his season was just absurd. I think that he has quickly become the best hitter in baseball. I mean,
he's great.
You know, and it's
listen, if the Jays win it all this year, man, that offense is set for the next 5 years. I mean, if they win it this early in the regime of this offense, I don't love everything about them, but they're dangerous. I mean, they're the team every week. You're like, man, how do you get this lineup out?
Oh yeah, yeah, and you know what? And they're two pitchers that they signed. They signed them to long-term deals, and all their other guys are young, and they have them under control for years. So you're talking about this team is basically going to stay intact for the next 5 years.
Plus, anybody who's not vaccinated can't go to Toronto and play, so they're going to get weaker teams.
There's
been real talk about that. Like the Yankees, they said like 30% of their team isn't vaccinated. Well, if they go to Toronto, they're going to be playing without guys. So is Boston. So is anybody else. So they even have a weird advantage during the regular season at times.
It's interesting.
The vaccination in Toronto is going to help them play lesser opponents.
I know, right?
Weird. So listen, I like it. I mean, the Cardinals are not trendy, so that one's a wrinkle. The Jays are a trendy pick to get there and win it. I've seen a lot of people lately, and I get it. I totally get it. So I went Mets, White Sox. If I'm going to put the Mets in the World Series, I might as well have them winning it. It doesn't make sense. I can't have I don't need a third straight time they're in the World Series with a loss. So if they're going to get there, I'm going to give them the World Series. And it's only a half a homer pick because I tried to take a step back and say, if I wasn't a Met fan, if I was trying to find a wrinkle this year and not go chalk, they would be a team I'd say, man, if they could get to the playoffs with that rotation, I would really like them. So it's a half of like, yes, I'm a fan, but I try not to pick usually based on being a fan. I mean, so I really actually think they could win it. So I'm going to go Mets, White. Mets, White Sox would be kind of a weird World Series because they're the 1A, 1B of the cities they play in, right? It's the White Sox are usually second fiddle in Chicago. The Mets are second fiddle in New York. It'd be an interesting one if they got there.
It would be great. You know, my concern about the Mets, and I think the Mets are a great team. I really do. And I love
easy. You throw the word great around a little too easy.
I do think
too many people are great.
I do. I think that they've turned themselves into a real contender, and the owner has done some really, really great things. We'll see if your shortstop finally pans out for all the money he's making, but who knows? Again, your biggest question mark is DeGrom.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, if that guy could put together a full season, he's literally unhittable. But can he? Doesn't he have some arm issues again this year?
This time it's a bone issue so it's they listen. They tried to say it might be a better thing because it's not inflammation in the shoulder, it's not his elbow, it's not all that stuff, but it's a bone issue in his arm. So I look at it this way. Yeah. They've built a good enough team that they should be able to withstand 6 or 8 weeks without him. Like they should have a good enough team without him. If he truly comes back in June and is healthy the rest of the way, they should be hard to beat. I mean, in terms of like
agreed,
putting up a really good regular season record, positioning themselves for a playoff run, they should be. But the Mets have not been able to the Mets have just not been able to live up to expectations. So they're either going to finally do it and get rid of this black cloud over their head. The Wilpons have been gone now 2 years. They're either going to do it now, or I feel like if this team doesn't pan out, I don't know. They got a curse around them that they can't get away from.
You're right. And what did you say to me yesterday? You said that you think DeGrom just throws too hard. His arm just can't take.
There's been conversations around baseball that does he just throw too hard for his body frame? Because if you look at DeGrom, yes, he checks off all the normal boxes of really good pitchers. He's really long. He's got that athletic, lanky frame. But unlike a lot of these big guys, when you think of even a Syndergaard, maybe not the best example because he's also hurt and had Tommy John. But when you look at a lot of these pitchers, they're pretty thick in the waist, and they're bigger guys, not just tall. DeGrom is so slender. Like he is a slight dude. Like he's 6'4", like maybe 195, maybe 195 if he's lucky. He's really lanky and thin. And there's been talk, does he just throw too hard for his own arm? Like the torque he has is just dangerous to his arm. Might be. And it might be.
No, listen, it's true. And
he averages like a 99 mile an hour fastball for 110 pitches in a game. That might just be too much torque on the arm.
It's absurd. And you know, it's funny because people have said a lot of that about me. They've said, Darrin, I think your problem is that your arm has no torque, and that's why you get no speed whatsoever. So So interesting. So good picks. Now, who are your thoughts for MVP this year?
So I think the NL MVP, as I thought about it a little bit, I'm just going to go with like what I think will end up being a no-brainer and nobody's going to pick this, or maybe few people are. I think Trey Turner runs away with the NL MVP.
Interesting.
And the reason is because he's probably going to bat 1-2 in the Dodger order. He's a super high on base guy. He's just an all-around player. And in that offense, he's going to score so many runs. He's going to steal a bunch of bases. Yeah. He's going to drive in a bunch of runs because there's not even a pitcher batting in the 9 spot. So the lineup's going to turn around so much. I could just see Trey Turner having one of those old school stat lines where he's like a 300 hitter, 300 plus hitter, 25 homers, 100 RBIs, 120 runs scored, 30 stolen bases. Like, it's going to be silly. I think his stat line's going to be off the charts, and I think he's going to end up running away from it because he's going to have that nothing over the top, but everything really good. 40 doubles, it's just going to be a crazy stat line. And he's geared up in a murderous offense to do it. So I'm going to go with Turner.
I agree. That's a good call. Who do you have for the NL? I mean, the AL.
I'm going to go with your boy Guerrero.
Yeah.
I think this year he gets it because I think there's going to be some percentage of people that feel he was slighted last year. Plus, he's also in a murderous lineup that's going to have a chance to drive in 130 or 140 runs. He hits for a high batting average. He's going to hit 1 million home runs. I actually think both of those guys could run away with the MVPs.
It's possible. It's possible. And you know what? I 100% I agree with you on Guerrero. I think, I look at him and I think, okay, your father's a Hall of Famer and you're potentially better than he is. Like when was the last time there was a guy in the Hall of Fame whose son was better than he was? I mean, how do you?
It doesn't happen much.
I can't even tell you who that's happened to.
Yeah, because I mean, the two names that I think about, the kids were better than the dads, but the dads weren't quite Hall of Famers. I'm thinking Bobby Bonds and I'm thinking Ken Griffey Sr.
Right, those guys, they were both good players. And Bobby Bonds Sr. was an all-star. He was a great player.
He was good
for a while. But
even Ken Griffey was good. But I mean, the Suns.
He was right. Ken Griffey just played a long time. He was good. He was never great. But yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So I look at Guerrero. He's still a young guy. This guy is just a friggin' animal. I mean, what he does to the ball is not even right. I wouldn't want to be a big.
And what's so neat about that Blue Jay team, and we didn't even talk about it. We did last year, I remember. But what are the odds the 3 former major leaguers' sons would all end up on the same team? I mean, Bichette, Biggio, and Guerrero.
2 Hall of Famers. Because Biggio, obviously, his son's on the team. And
I don't think the son's going to have anywhere near the career that Craig had.
No, he's not.
But Bo Bichette and Dante was a really good player. Not a Hall of Famer.
Dante had, people don't realize, he had some big, when he was with Colorado, he had some, and granted, listen, they all have inflated numbers.
They were saying it was because Coors Field, and I know.
He still had some big numbers. Numbers.
And what I like about Bo Bichette and Guerrero, not talking about, obviously Guerrero is way, way better, but I love that Bo Bichette and Guerrero, their batting stances, everything kind of mirrors their dad. Like, there's so much about their dad that's involved in, like, when I see them, it looks like their kids, like in so many ways.
I can't imagine where they pick that stuff up,
Crazy.
But
crazy.
It's interesting that you mentioned Bo Bichette, because I think he's a legitimate MVP candidate also. When you look at Bo Bichette, he's kind of, his game, I think, mirrors Trey Turner's. It really does. I mean, he's got hitting wise and RBI wise. I think Trey Turner is just more established. So I think that he's got a better shot of having a good year. But when you look at Bichette, dude, he had a monster year last year. He really, really played well, and he's a 5-tool guy. So we'll see what happens there. So I 100% agree with Guerrero. I think Trey Turner is a huge, huge call. And I thought about going with him myself, but I'm going to go back with Tatis. You can't go wrong with that guy. He's still so young. He missed so much time last year. I think he's kind of angry. I think he's going to take it out on the ball this year. And if the rest of that lineup can start hitting the ball, then I think he's going to have just a monster year. And he's my pick for NL MVP.
Nice. And then the pitching, the Cy Young, I'm going to assume DeGrom is not even remotely going to qualify for it. Yeah. I don't think Scherzer's going to, I think they'll win a lot, but I'm going to go with probably kind of a safe pick. I know a lot of people like Walker Buehler. I'm not going to go Walker Buehler. I'm going to go Burns on the Brewers.
Yep.
I think he's going to just have crazy strikeout totals. I think some of those Dodger pitchers are going to split some of the vote up. So I'll go with Burns on the Brewers, but it's close. I don't think it's with DeGrom parked on the DL. I don't think it's a runaway. I think it's kind of open. I could go Wheeler. Obviously he's got potential to be a guy. And let's face it, when he faces the Mets, he does look like a Cy Young Award winner every time because he's mad at them for not resigning him. So if it was just 28 starts against the Mets, he'd be 22-4 with a 1.2 ERA.
Exactly.
And then the AL Cy Young, I just don't really love the pitching in the AL.
Right.
And I'm not a Yankee guy, so I'm not going to go Garrett Cole. He makes some sense. I'm going to say he comes back off the injury and dominates. I'll go Bieber. I'll just take a shot on Bieber.
Okay. All right.
The Biebs.
No,
Singing, dancing, pitching. He does it all.
I'm actually going to go a completely different way on both of those picks. You know, I look at Robbie Ray last year and what he did, and I think that's really setting up a foundation for him. I think that he's figured it out, and I think him going to Seattle is not going to hurt him at all because I think Seattle's a good team. I like Robbie Ray to repeat as a Cy Young. I think that he's the best pitcher in the AL. Like you said, I don't think there's really great dominating pitching in the AL. I really don't. I think all of the great teams and all of the great pitchers are in the NL. So I like Robbie Ray to repeat. And then in the NL, I am going way, way, way out there. All right. This guy is never even talked about in Cy Young, but you know, he's had some injuries in the past. He came back. He had a great, great year last year. I still think turning 40 this year, I still think he's a great pitcher. I think that his team is gonna play really well. I had them in the World Series, and I think he's going to be the pitching that gets them there. And I'm going to say Adam Wainwright comes out of left field to win the Cy Young Award this year.
Wow, that is a doozy if you hit on that at his age.
Right? If I can hit on that, then I need to play the lottery right after. Yeah.
Whew. All right.
So there we have it, man.
I like a little wrinkle action. I like a little wrinkle. So you went Guerrero like me though, right?
I did. I went Guerrero.
You went Guerrero. You went
Guerrero and Tatis.
Wainwright,
Tatis,
and Robbie Ray.
Yep.
I try to keep look, it's not done very neatly, folks, but let me see if I can get it.
Oh, there we go.
But I like to keep the stats so I know what's going on.
Well,
I file it away in one of those drawers where I tend to forget exists for 3 months. But listen, by the time I look at this again, it'll be damn near September. It'll be a long time. So,
well, you know what? I have a couple major league things I want to talk about real quick.
We got to go rapid fire.
Do a little rapid fire. I wanted to congratulate Alyssa Nakken, who, if you know who she is, the first on-field coach ever. Yep. When Antone Richardson was ejected from the game. Basically, they said, all right, rookie, you're in. Grab a uniform, grab a helmet. So that helmet is already on the way to Cooperstown. So congratulations to her, the first woman on the field. Although I don't know what a woman is because I'm not a biologist. But anyway, it's not important. Stephen Kwan, rookie. Do you remember the movie Jerry Maguire?
Show me the money.
when he goes, Jerry, you are the ultimate display of Kwan. That's what he called. That was like his word, Kwan, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
So this guy, Stephen Kwan, right? He's a rookie. 5 games. He's 10 for 15 with 7 walks and 0 strikeouts. Okay, this guy's a rookie. I think he's gonna keep it up. I think there's a legitimate chance he hits 667 for the season.
True. Yeah. I think he's on pace. He'll get there.
And in Japan, they have a pitcher named Roki Sasaki. Okay, I want you to remember this name because he's about to make $1 gazillion. He pitched a perfect game the other day with 19 strikeouts. He throws over 100 miles an hour, and he's 20 years old. Okay.
Is he coming to the majors?
Oh God, you think people aren't going to be lining up to get that guy?
Is Mr. Cohen going to bid $50 million a year for him?
He'll probably come over here making $25 million just to start. That's
more probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just a beast. Couple other interesting things. You know, Max Scherzer makes more than 4 teams.
Why not? Mad Max with 2 different colored eyeballs.
Including the Orioles, who have a payroll of $30 million, lowest in baseball. And Brooke went to the Braves game with her friend the other night. They sat in the Delta box, and so they were basically right behind home field or whatever. And she was actually on the jumbo screen.
Nice.
Which was pretty exciting. I have a picture of that. So
you should have told her to we should make custom shirts for her that say Phil on the mic.
You know what? She goes to so many different events, concerts and sporting events.
She could be like, you know how there's always like a person that's at all these events that has like a quirky sign or something. She could be the Phil on the mic girl.
I like that.
Get her one cool shirt. It's got to be cool enough that she'll wear it. I don't know. Figure it out.
All right,
Phil on the mic.
We'll have to look into that. Last but not least, the Braves unveiled their World Series rings. All right. Here's what it looks like. I don't know. Did you get a chance to see it?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I'm going to describe it for you. First off, it has 755 diamonds to commemorate Hank Aaron's 755 home runs. It's got 19 rubies, 1 pearl, and the total weight of the gems is 13.3 carats. 22 emerald cut diamonds on each side, which is 44 total, because that was Hank Aaron's number. 18.71 carat white gold to signify the inception of the team in 1871. 150 diamonds in the A on the front to signify 150 years of the franchise's existence. And this is something brand new. The ring actually opens up, and inside is actually a mini, I don't know what you want to call it, sculpture or whatever, of the stadium. And there's 2 micro LED lights that light up. Okay. It's the strangest ring you'll ever see. If you didn't see it, look it up. Because you won't see anything like it. It's very, very strange. And then 3 more things I want to mention. Did you hear about the Timberwolves game last night?
No, they won, right?
There was a woman who was an animal rights activist, right? And in the game, she actually ran out onto the court and she actually glued her hand to the floor to protest the fact that the owner owns a chicken farm where they inhumanely slaughter chickens. All right.
Got it.
Problem is, the woman's obviously not real bright. I think she used Elmer's glue. So didn't stick for very long. Let's just put it that way. And they immediately got her off, cleaned up the court, and that was that. So that was interesting. And actually, last but not least, I just wanted to say rest in peace, GIlbert Gottfried, who died yesterday at age 67. And you may remember him from Beverly Hills Cop. He played the parrot in Aladdin.
Didn't know he was in Beverly Hills Cop, by the way.
Yeah. He was Beverly Hills Cop 2. I'm sorry, the second one, where he was the guy's accountant. Sidney Bernstein.
Yes.
And they go in. Remember, they go in with the tickets, and he's like, "That's not my car. That's my wife's car." And then he picks up the phone, and he goes, "Bitch!" and he hangs up the phone because I guess she was on hold or something. So it's pretty funny. Well, let's say I had something in this hand, and I give it to you, and you're looking at this hand. You say, "I don't even know what was in here. I don't know what this is." And then he goes, "You mean like $200? Ouch! Let go of my God!" Oh my God. And then Aladdin, he was so great in that, playing the parrot with all his, oh God. He just had one of those games. I said to Brooke, I'm like, do you know who this guy is? And she's like, no. And I said, okay, well, let me play for you his voice. And she's like, oh my God, I know that guy. He's in everything. Yeah. He did voiceovers for everything. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he was a really weird guy, but super talented. That voice was just, I mean, it's just one of those voices that you hear it and you're like, yeah, that's GIlbert Gottfried. I know who that is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we lost another good one, but that's it, man. So that's about all we got for today, man.
Baseball preview in the books. Put it in the books.
Put it in the books, man. Nice to it's nice to see you again. I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time. You look much different. You look like you've got a little less hair today than you had the other day.
Beard?
No, you got the same amount.
Oh, you're just mocking me.
But thanks everybody for joining us, and with any luck, we can start picking up some consistency again. Like I said, I have 10 baseball players, former baseball players that I need to reach out to that have expressed interest on being on the show. So, Phil, we got to make some time. Sure. There's some great stories. A couple of them have written books that we can talk about, and hopefully they're as great as our our other guests. And I actually just I want to tell you this before we go. I just bought a Cappy Pondexter jersey, and I'm going to send it over to her and see if she'll sign it.
I'm sure she will.
Yeah, I'm sure she will too. But I'd like to make that kind of the first jersey that I frame and put up on the wall. And I'm proud of the fact that we've gotten to talk to some people, and I'm excited and feel really privileged about some upcoming conversations. So everybody, hope you enjoy it. Hope you have a great day. Enjoy the baseball season, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon on Phil and the Mike.
Be well, everyone.